Now, back in the day, there was a trending game called Granny. Now, what if I told you that Granny the game is actually modeled after a real life person? Now, that person goes by the name of the Granny Ripper, or Baba Yaga. Now, her real name is Tamara, was born on April 25 in 1947. Now, she is a Russian alleged serial killer who was arrested in July 2015 on suspicion of committing 2 murders with extreme cruelty. She supposedly had schizophrenia and was previously hospitalized 3 times in psychiatric hospitals. Now, Tamara, or the Granny Ripper, was born in the city of Usha in 1947. After she graduated from high school, she arrived in Moscow and entered the Moscow State Linguistic University. After she graduated, she moved to St. Petersburg, where she ended up marrying Alexei Samsonova. In 1971, she and her husband settled in a newly built panel house, number 4, on Dimitrov Street. For some time, she worked for Intourist travel agency, in particular in the Grand Hotel Europe. The amount of work experience the Granny Ripper gathered at the time of her retirement was 16 years. In the year 2000, the Granny Ripper's husband disappeared. Now, she supposedly killed him and got rid of his body. She ended up appealing to the police, but searches yielded nothing. 15 years later, in April 2015, she ended up turning towards the authorities again, this time to the investigative unit of the Forensic District in St. Petersburg, giving a statement about the spouse's disappearance. After her husband's disappearance, the Granny Ripper began renting out a room in her apartment. According to the investigators, on September 6, 2003, during a quarrel, she killed her tenant. Her tenant was a 44-year-old resident from Norilsk. She then dismembered his corpse and disposed of it on the streets of St. Dyer's Way. In March 2015, the Granny Killer met 79-year-old Valentina, who also lived on Dimitrov Street. A friend of the two asked Ulanova to shelter the Granny Killer for a time due to the fact that the Granny Killer's apartment was being renovated, to which Ulanova ended up agreeing with. Now, the Granny Killer ended up living in Ulanova's apartment for several months, helping with the housework. She started to begin to like living in this particular apartment, wanting to stay there for longer and refusing to move out. Over time, the relationship between the two deteriorated, and Ulanova eventually asked the Granny Killer to leave, which ended up to be Ulanova's worst mistake of his life, because after the conflict, she ended up poisoning Ulanova. The Granny Killer traveled to Pushkin, where she managed to persuade a pharmacist to sell her a prescription drug. The drug she was after was phenazepam, which is a drug used in the treatment of various mental disorders, such as psychiatric, schizophrenia, and also anxiety. The Granny Killer later found Ulanova's body laying in the kitchen floor on the night of July 23, and she proceeded to dismember it with 2 knives and a saw. She started off with firstly sawing off the victim's head. She then sawed the body in half, and then using the 2 knives, she sheared it into pieces. To take out all the bags outside of the apartment, she had to go outside and return several times. The granny killer left pieces of Ulanova's body scattered in the house. On the evening of July 26, Ulanov's decapitated body with severed limbs, wrapped in a bathroom curtain, was found near a pond at house number 10 on Dimitrov Street. The package initially didn't attract any attention for several days until a local resident took an interest in its contents. The identity of the deceased was established on July 27th after a survey of the apartment residence. When they knocked on Ulanov's apartment, the granny killer ended up opening the door to the authorities. After the authorities entered inside, police officers found traces of blood in the bathroom and also fastening from the torn off curtain. After this, the pensioner was immediately arrested. On July 29, 2015, the granny killer was brought to the Fruns District Court of St. Petersburg. She underwent a forensic psychiatric examination, and on November 26, 2015, the results determined that she was a danger to society and herself. And after all of that, she ended up being placed in a specialized institution until the end of the investigation. In December 2015, the granny killer was sent for compulsory psychiatric treatment in a specialized hospital in Kazan. After that, she was being investigated in connection to a total of 14 murders. According to media reports, police found a diary which contained details of some of the murders. One entry translated from Russian to English read, "I killed my tenant, Volodya, cut him into pieces in the bathroom with a knife and put the pieces of his body in plastic bags and threw them away in the different parts of the Frunzensky district." The spans of the crimes lasted from 2000 until 2015. The victims that are known is Valentina and also Ulanova. The ones that are presumed are Alexei and Volodya. She killed 2, which is proved, but they presume that there are 14 murders that she caused. And the date she was apprehended was on the 27th of July, and she was imprisoned at 26 November. And currently she is aged 76 and still alive as far as we know. The game Granny was also inspired and modeled after this woman. So thank you guys for watching, and let me know what I should talk about next.